Hello, beautiful stars. Courtney here with Stars of the Morning Light. And tonight, for another Matrix Living episode, we have the lovely Miss Ash. And beloveds below, please be kind in the chat. I appreciate you all. And know that this is the first time Ash and I have ever spoken verbally together. So I am very excited. So hunker in, everybody. Enjoy yourselves. And please, one love. So, Ash, thank you for doing this, my dear. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I want to throw out there that I kind of met you through Instagram and then moved into Facebook and Instagram, wherever we're at. And we've had all these DM talks, but I've never spoken to you, and you're brilliant and you're wonderful and creative. And when I was thinking about guests for the Matrix Living episodes, you were one of the first on my mind.
Well, thanks. That's awesome.
Yeah, and currently you're helping business women learn more about AI, and I applaud you for that.
Thank you. I'm actually helping regular women, so not just
Oh,
business women. I think that the market is pretty saturated with business stuff. So I want to help people who are not trying to necessarily market with it.
that's I am so clueless in that world. And so I read all your stuff and I'm just like, oh, and it's helping me trust and it's helping me understand. It's helping me. So, um, is if that's still open, I can leave links in the description. And I'm sure you'll probably do like this round and then another round because it is so valuable. So everybody, I will connect all of Ash's information below in the description. So we might just get into it, Ash. How are you doing first? How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm excited to
You're,
have a conversation.
oh, good. Excellent. Good. Um, okay, so every guest, I do ask them first for like a personal experience, an instant, something that had your eyes kind of open to, whoa, something else is going on here. Something is different about this space that we live in. Can you share something with us from your life?
Yeah. So I was raised in a very conservative Lutheran church, almost like a conservative culty type Lutheran church where
Okay.
you couldn't leave basically. And so I went through grade school, kindergarten on up. I graduated from Lutheran high school and then went on my way. I became a young adult. I decided a couple years later that I wanted to go to college. And one of my first classes that I took at a community college was astronomy.
Yes,
I,
yeah.
I at the time I was referring it to my friends. I'm taking an astrology class, and they were like, no, it's astronomy. It's a little different. So when I was um, part of that class, they had us come out one night on a deck of the community college and had us looking through a telescope. And I saw
Hmm.
Jupiter with my own eyes that first time. And I had been raised in a universe where the world was only 6,000 years old and
Hmm.
we were these um, special people that had God's blessing and all of that sort of thing. And so we weren't taught evolution, we weren't taught any of those things. And when I saw Jupiter with my own eyes, and I realized exactly how big it was and how big the universe is and how little I am in these little things that I would worry about the getting along with other people or just the human concerns.
Yeah,
I was like, whoa, none of those actually matter because we are just a tiny speck on
yeah,
in the entire universe. And like once I realized that, pretty much my entire paradigm changed because first of all, I realized that I hadn't been taught a huge amount of things that I would eventually come to almost worship, science and the universe and that sort of thing. But I also, I just became really curious. Instead of being told this is how it is, I started questioning everything. And
Wow.
that was
Wow.
such a critical piece of forming who I am today because those little things, they're so little.
Yeah. And you saw Jupiter for the first time. That
Jupiter,
warms my heart, Ash. That warms me so much.
it was incredible.
Yeah. A lot of the viewers here come from a similar background. Whatever kind of restricted, confined background it is. And they all have stories of that first sight of something. There's more to this than what I've been told. And do you think that's where your thirst of knowledge comes from? Because you have a thirst and it's lovely.
Absolutely. When I, well, so it's natural as a teenager to think that you know everything, but to have your entire worldview ripped out from underneath your feet in a good
Mhm.
way, in a brilliant way, to recognize that there's so much that you don't know. And now I'm like, okay, I've got how many days left in my life? I have got to read every single day so that I can learn as much as possible now. So
Oh, okay. Okay. Yes, this is why. And you are an avid reader. I love it. I'm like, geez, I thought I read a lot. She is going. And it's beautiful. I love it. I do love it. So, okay, that opened up the whole big universe can of worms then for you. Kind of where are you now with this concept of the Matrix? Where before you speak, Ash, I want to put out there for everybody listening and for you that I started these episodes of Matrix Living so different opinions can come into the conversation and different scopes and ideas because it's really the conversation that ignites the ideas in others that's why we're doing this. So there is never a wrong concept because who the hell knows what was going on, right? So I invite you to share yours and for those in the chat or watching this later, leave a comment below and let us know what you're thinking. So Ash, the floor is yours, my dear. What are your thoughts and opinions about this matrix thing that we live in?
I think it is what you believe it to be. Like it doesn't matter what I think necessarily or what you think necessarily. It's what every individual believes it to be is what it is for them. I think that we're powerful imaginators. Imaginators, is that a word?
Sure.
We're
Yeah, we are. We're gonna
powerful
roll with it.
imaginers, and we make it be whatever we think it's going to be. I mean, the simple way of explaining it is that we are the universe becoming conscious of itself. I have a hard time with the whole higher power outside of me thing. I think
Mhm.
that if there is a higher power, it is us, like me individually or you individually. So, I think that we are becoming like we are experiencing whatever it is that we imagine it is to be. And whether that's a simulation or that's the Christian beliefs or that's the more pagan beliefs or however it is that we um, find whatever resonates with us, that's what we've created. And so we go through this process and we get to experience it and we can change it anytime.
Wow. Okay. So I'm hearing that individuals are creators themselves and we're creating what we're experiencing.
Yes.
Do you think that happens? Do, do you think we create before we get here, or we're creating like as we go through the motion of life?
I don't know because I've never died that
Yeah.
I remember. I mean, I
Yeah.
probably could have died but I just don't remember it. So I don't know if I like the idea. It's very heartwarming to think, oh, I picked this other person before I was born,
Yeah.
like your partners or your whatever. But
Yeah.
I think it's so, it's so like, it's as simple as you believe it to be to change. in the moment that maybe, I mean, maybe we just maybe we picked it out before we were old enough to be conscious of ourselves. And I don't know. I just don't, I I don't
You
know,
don't,
like,
yeah.
as a child, we have the imagination. Do we have as much control over the outside, or do we understand the control that we have over the outside? Probably not. But I think that as adults, especially as you become more confident in what it is that you are wanting to create.
Yeah. And maybe when we're kids, we have the imagination, but we're also attached to someone else's imagination.
Mhm.
Like someone imagined us, like, oh, a baby, So maybe it's because it's kind of interwoven, and when we're older, it's more of yeah, our own making. Well, can I say, Ash, then, because you and your husband, has it been a year or 2 years now that you moved to the castle in the mountains, the castle in the
Here,
clouds? One
one,
year. Congratulations. And I know that was a dream of yours.
yes.
So when you saw the land, when you saw the location, did you think, this is it? This is what we've been looking for.
Yeah. So we had, I would say 18, 17, 18 years ago. It was probably 17 years ago. We went on this camping trip and we went all along the western side of Colorado, and it was like a 2 week trip. And we just camped at different places to figure out where it was that we wanted to move to
Wow.
someday. We would have to wait till the kids were grown and all of that. And we found this location. It's called Creed, Colorado, or we actually found south of Creed. We found the Pagosa Springs area, and we were like, oh, this is heaven. And then probably 15 years later or so, I was like, what about Creed, which is right near there, but it's actually a little higher elevation. And so we were focused on that. And we were not actually planning on moving until, like, we didn't have the plans to move. We were going to stay at that location in the city for a little while longer. And a number of things just came up, and um, very abruptly we happened to stumble across this property. Like, it was immediate, like hours after saying, okay, we're going to move. And
Wow.
we came up here the like 5 days later, and or maybe 6 days anyway. And we saw the place, and it was everything we had written down before. It had solar, it was off grid, it had an attached greenhouse, it was in the exact elevation, had meadow and forest and rocks, and like it was so perfect that we were like, it had a well, um, big open plan, like it
Wow.
so
Wow.
so absolutely perfect. Like, we, of course, we made the decision right there. Yes, we're going to buy this house. And it was terrifying. And it, like,
I
uprooting
can
itself.
imagine so.
But then when after we moved here, after we got moved in, I actually was not confident we hadn't both died, because I was like, well, maybe there is a heaven. Maybe. And
See?
so I kept looking for ways to figure out if I was alive or not. Um, so as it turns out, one of our dogs was having issues with not peeing outside. And
Mm.
so then I was like, oh, thanks, Caroline. I understand that I'm alive still. Thank you.
Yes, yes. Isn't it interesting how they remind us that
Yeah.
yes, we're still alive.
Yeah.
Sweetheart, I'm hearing like that is literally what you're describing as the Matrix, as in 15 years ago, you set out to travel and look for places. You made these lists of things that you would love to see one day happen on the land. And then all of a sudden, even when it's not expected, bam, it's there. That to me is like the exact definition of what you're kind of proposing, as in that imagination. Even if it t took some time to show up, that's for me, I'm hearing it all making sense.
Yeah. I mean, I think that that's true. And it's going to sound cliche to say this, but it was as soon as we had decided, like literally week that we had decided, okay, we're just going to stay here a little longer. And I was like, okay, well, if the castle in the mountains never happens, I'll be okay. And
Hmm.
it happened.
That I think that's kind of part of like when people talk about surrender,
Yeah.
of like I'm okay regardless. And then all of a sudden those dreams show up. Yeah. That's how I see it in a way. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So do you think if I have my matrix and I'm imagining it and I'm experiencing it and you have your matrix, do they ever bounce, interact, connect in ways?
There's two ways to answer that. The one would be the obvious, of course. But the other way to answer that, I think, is if you're part of my imagination, then the only thing that exists is me and my creation. And so, I mean, that's possible. That's not very play well with others, but that's how I lean, generally speaking. So, for
Nice.
instance, when somebody passes away, I can't deny that somebody has passed away, right? Like you're very obviously no longer able to experience that person in flesh, right?
Hmm.
But I still carry them with me for as long as I wish. I can still
Hmm.
have conversations. They can still advise me. We can still interact. And I'm not talking about delusions. I'm talking about my experience of that person.
Hmm.
So while it's probably true that you exist outside of my experience of you, and that may be true for all of us, maybe we're not actually separate people. Maybe we're all just individual conscious awareness of our own selves, right?
Yeah.
But I think that it is entirely possible that nothing exists but my own experience of it. And also, it's entirely possible that you have that exact experience. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Well, for me, it does. For me, it does. Yes, this is. I'm kind of hearing like I might relate it to, you see me as a brunette. You see me with, dark hair, dark eyes. Who knows if that's what I really look like? Right? That's how you're seeing me. That's how I see myself. But it's like, who knows what this body of form really looks like? Because I right now exist because you're witnessing me, you're seeing me.
Right.
I exist when I see myself in the mirror because I'm witnessing me. So I actually personally jive with what you're saying. I really do. Um, and thank you for saying it so lovely. And you were very articulate there with it. Because, yeah, maybe we have our own individual consciousness and everything then is our imagination, and then that person's individual consciousness. But yet, as we're all interacting, it's still that perception, it's still that imagination kind of bouncing off of each other,
Yeah.
right? That, we see this, you see this cup, I see this cup, and that doesn't mean everybody sees it, right? So that's fascinating. Do you think that's why this world is such a, I don't know, complex living experience?
So I think that we're not actually super separate from each other,
Okay.
and I think that we all generally have the same wants and needs and fears and
Mm.
overall agenda. Of course, there's going to be some exceptions to that, and some people lean more one way than another. But um, I think it's complex because we have the delusion that we are different.
Oh, lovely. That was the sentence of the night, folks. That was a lovely way to put it. Yes, that the delusion that we are separate. Yes. Yeah, that is what makes it more difficult because I agree with you. At the root of everything, we're all here having a human experience with all those human emotions and fears and roughly everything is relative. I
Yes.
mean, you and I grew up very different. But yet those human fears and emotions are the lines that bring us together in understanding one another.
Yeah. And any two conscious awareness creatures, beings, humans, whatever, any two of us can bond on a deep soul level.
Yes,
That it
yes,
doesn't matter what our difference in perspective is, or any one of us can.
right, right. Your struggles might be different than mine, and mine might be different than yours, but a struggle is a struggle, an emotion is an emotion. Yeah, I fully agree. So you had said earlier that if this matrix that we're hopefully enjoying, but this matrix that we're living, that it would take maybe just shifting the imagination, shifting maybe the consciousness attached to the imagination for change, maybe project what we would like to see. Do you think that that is possible then?
I believe that we can see whatever we wish to see, for sure. Um, I don't think that I think that people oversimplify it, right? Like the movie The Secret in 2004 or whatever. I think
Yeah.
it's a little bit of an oversimplification. I don't think that you can magically snap your fingers necessarily. Of course, that's maybe just what works for me or not.
Yeah.
Uh, but I think that there is effort and there is like you have to behave the way that you want the outcome to be. So like when I quit smoking,
Hmm.
I had to behave like a non-smoker. I had to identify as a non-smoker and then I just stopped smoking. So,
Yeah.
and that again is an oversimplification of it, but like yes, I think that there are some circumstances that are much more effortful to change. Society is definitely tiered in ways that serve some better than others.
Yes.
Being
Yeah.
said, I think that there are your ability to experience this opportunity, whether it is acquiring the physical masses of things that you think that would make you happy, or whether it is finding joy in what you have, like that, it's all perspective, right? So can it change? Absolutely. I can change the way I think about myself and my place in this world. And while that might not make me a billionaire tomorrow, it certainly gives me the opportunity to have the experience of richness.
Mm. Yes. And there's a lot of people out here that say that that's what this is all about, so we can have these experiences. And it's like, well, if you're kind of tired of the experiences you're having, well, then you can change them just by the mindset, like you're saying.
The common denominator is you. So
Right.
if you're not
Exactly.
liking what you're doing, gotta try something else.
Yeah,
You're going to
exactly.
try something that you also don't like, but
It
and
took
try something
me,
else.
I remember I had a mentor when I was young. I had lost my job for like what I thought was my career, and it was all due to funding. And I was devastated. That first job loss of like, who am I? I have no identity. And my mentor just kept saying, well, just choose to do, go do something, choose something. And I was so petrified of choosing wrong.
Mm,
What's gonna happen? I need to know. I can't fail again. It was such a, even though I did nothing, it was that feeling of failure. And she just kept saying, no, if you find out that you chose wrong, you just choose again.
yeah.
And then you just choose again. And bless her, I was too young to really grasp that at that time. It took a few years later that I went, this is what she means. I just
Hmm.
choose again.
Hmm. I think
Yeah.
there's a certain level of maturity that comes over time, for sure. I certainly didn't believe that either when I was younger, but when you realize that you have so much power and so much control over yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I wish
Yeah.
That is one of my hopes for all of humanity is for individuals to just step into their authority more, which is really stepping into their authenticity.
Mhm.
Why, it gives that authority to things. And I wish people more, that is my hope. Because I think if then we apply that, the imagination, we apply the mindset, we apply changing the attitude and how you kind of said, act as if, be as if, right? Like doing that, we then receive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have to ask, because you do know much more than I, much more. I can, Ash, I can barely turn on a computer. I have gotten so much better. My husband is so proud of me. You would be proud of me if you knew me back when I have failed every computer class ever in life. I even got caught cheating once. Like, so you understanding a lot of like this AI stuff, do you feel that this living matrix, this matrix that we're living in, do you do you think that it might just be extremely advanced AI?
I think the question you just asked me is, are we living in a simulation?
Girl, you said it, not me. Yes. My husband walks around the house, Ash, going, this is just a simulation. This is just a simulation. I'm like, whatever.
My husband is very much in the same vein. Um, Here's the thing, it's kind of like God. I I mean, there's lots of plausible explanations for our experience, right? It's a simulation and we're the a fifth grader's experiment gone awry, or like that's possible. It's possible that aliens came and mated with our um, predecessors and created consciousness. Like that's actually the most reasonable possible thing, I guess.
Right.
Has to be one. But there are things that I can't answer, and I don't think that I'll ever know. And I have a thirst for knowledge and I'm constantly learning. And I'm like devouring history books. And that's my special focus right now this year.
Yeah.
At some point, probably in the near future, I'm going to move on to something besides 20th century history, but not today. And I can tell you that there are things that we cannot ever definitively know. Like, we don't
Mhm.
know that the Big Bang happened. We assume that that's probably sort of similar to what maybe happened. We don't know what happened. We don't know what happens when we die.
Mhm.
Like, those unanswerable questions are completely irrelevant in my thought. Like, could it be? Sure. Like, okay, does it make a single iota of difference to me? Is it going to change
Right.
how I live my life? No. Is it possible? There are a lot of smart people that think it is. But does that
Yeah.
like, as far as AI goes, I'm not I'm not sure that we're prepared to answer the question of what the truth of consciousness is. And
Ah.
the biggest concern that people have is for AI to become smarter than humans, which is a legitimate, real concern.
Hmm. Hmm.
Will it ever become conscious? What is consciousness? We don't know that. We can't answer. Like, we've been toying with this idea for a really long time, and there are glimmers that people have come up with. Like, there's a light that leaves your body when you die. They think, I don't know, I haven't read anything about that
Hmm.
study, but they think. So AI right now is a tool that expands our minds. And true, it can expand mental illness just as easily as it can expand intelligence,
Right.
knowledge, and learning. So
Mm.
like I don't think that it's so dangerous that we shouldn't be using it. I do think that it will exacerbate the bad, I don't even want to call them a bad actors because everyone has their reasons, right? But will it exacerbate mental illness if mental illness is present? Probably.
Okay.
probably.
Yeah, that's you had recently brought that up in some of your posts, and I didn't know anything about it. And I went, okay, that is making much more sense to me now. And so that's uh, beloved stars out there who are listening, that is why I follow I mean, I follow Ash because she's wonderful, but um her posts when you read them are delightful in all categories, right? So it's like I sometimes for me personally, I wonder if AI that we're presented with right now is just like the low grade version of what consciousness really is for us. Like we are at a much higher scale than we allow ourselves to be, or we limit ourselves for some reason. We really do. And maybe AI is here to introduce like we're worried about it taking over us when it's like, no, no, no. If we would just stop limiting ourselves. This is our child when we are, the creators. That's how I kind of try to view it, but I understand the concerns. And even though I don't know how any of it works, I understand the concerns. And I often, because I have a husband that walks around the house going, this is just a simulation. I kind of also am the same with you in the token of, what does that have to do with me taking out the garbage? What does that have to do with all these things that we kind of question? What does that have to do with the human connection, the life I'm living, the experiences I'm having? Because you're right. I don't think a lot of the answers maybe we'll know one day. I don't know. But right now, isn't it more, for me, more important to maybe, like you said, use that imagination to create the life and dreams that I want to experience, opposed to the limitations and the dogmas and all this that are not maybe necessarily for me.
Right. Well, it comes back to we're just not that different.
Yes. Exactly. Exactly. The oneness of all things. Yeah, we're not that different. Yeah, I completely disagree with that concept of separation, but I think it just destroys things. It keeps the limitations in place though.
Yeah.
The
Well,
judgment keeps the self limitations, the limitations on others, I personally, if I were to say the matrix living of like I refer to it as that most people experience as third dimensional living experience. That's how it's a big phrase, third dimensional living experience. Um, I do call that the land of judgment, of self-judgment, judgment of others, limitations, all of it, the duality that doesn't really exist. Um, so I think maybe this new AI can hopefully help us kind of break out of that.
I think it can be illuminating for sure. One thing that came up while you were saying that is, you know how there's collectively, especially in the Father God beliefs, that there is a powerful, all-knowing God, and you must behave in a certain way in order to control the people. And
Hmm.
God was the creator and created these people and these humans, and in order to control them, there's this fear of what if they get out of control? What if they learn too much? What if they know good and evil? Like you've got that dynamic here between a creator God and the humans. Well, in AI, if we are humans who are, not that I believe in a God, but let's say we're here to become aware of ourselves and to see and to have to gain that knowledge between good and evil, or the knowledge of the wisdom, right? And we look at AI as our baby and we're afraid of it getting out of control, and we're afraid that it's
Mm.
going to act in certain ways. But what if that is just another reflection, just as we are potentially a reflection of the godness? What if that is
Whoa.
just a mirror to us?
Exactly. Wow. And Ash, yes, everyone, take that in. Take that in. Exactly. Yes. You know, Ash, when you were talking just then too, you and I connected, I think, early on from being Ayn Rand readers. And because that's my pocket of people that even know about her and what she was trying to do there is very small. And so when you were talking there of, the good and evil, the experience, this and that, I'm thinking, yeah, we still are keeping us humans in these categories of good, evil, this, that, when it's like, oh, our potential to be able to live to our potential. It made me think of Ayn Rand, Atlas Shrugged, the very end of like, yeah, let's get to that island, let's get to that space, right? Um, Maybe you're right. The AI is just that reflection. I get that. Right. Wow, fascinating thoughts. Fascinating. I really enjoyed this conversation, Ash. I really did. Um, Your opinions are valued. They really truly are. And your writing is wonderful. I know you used to blog much more, and now you just kind of do it more in shorter posts, but your writing is excellent.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'd like to blog, but I hear that blogging is something that doesn't go big anymore. So I guess I'm just
Now,
a Facebook poster.
yeah, it's all gotta be quick, quick and go, go, go. Yeah. Would you like to leave us with anything, Ash? What a great place you kind of left us with of so many intriguing sparks of thought. I really enjoyed this.
So I think what I like if I were to send out a message to your viewers, I
Yes.
think first of all, you probably ought to read Atlas Shrugged because it is an amazing, amazing testament of possibility. And so many people would like to criticize it for it not taking into consideration weakness because the book very clearly says either go big and accomplish what your dreams are and work hard or don't even bother. So read the book first of all. You can listen to
Right.
the audio and get that. But also there there are a lot of opportunities that we give ourselves to have excuses for why we're not where we're at. And those are excuses. And until you acknowledge that you either really like where you're at currently, whether you enjoy it or not, you're creating this experience. You have the opportunity to accomplish big things. And I'm not just saying that as like a go rah, rah, rah. Until you believe that that is true, you are going to believe that you don't have that possibility and you're going to feel the way you feel.
Yeah.
So,
Yes. That's lovely, Ash. I wholeheartedly agree with you. Wholeheartedly. Yeah. And you doing this is kind of a testimony to exactly what you're saying as well.
absolutely.
Um, you're not one to get in front of a camera too often, and so I appreciate it. And who knows, maybe this will may expand your world as well.
We'll see.
We'll see. Oh, that was lovely. Exact. And believe in oneself.
Yes.
Believe in oneself. That's your whole message. And from start to finish, this entire conversation, Ash, you pretty much have been emphasizing that. You're the creator. You're the one that's imagining this. Believe in yourself. You can do what you choose. That's lovely. That's absolutely brilliant. I love it. So thank you for being here. And beautiful stars, if you're listening, please leave a comment below. Thank our lovely Ash for being with us. I'm sure this has sparked great conversation in the chat, so I appreciate you. And Ash, this really was a lovely time together. Definitely. If you ever want to do it again for whatever reason, I am definitely game, my dear.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, good night, stars, and everyone. Go be the change you want to be. Believe in yourself. Exactly. Good night, guys. Thank you, Ash.